Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. It's time for another Dadbod to Daddy transformation vlog. Uh, Today was shoulder day. Yesterday was a little bit rough. I was feeling pretty sick, wasn't able to train. Feeling a lot better today, although I do feel like I'm a little boofy overall, but that's okay. Boofy meaning a little water, waistline a little looser. It'll get sorted though. Just continue to follow my diet, continue to train. But yeah, feeling much better today, so came in and did shoulders. I'm feeling like right now the seated overhead press, it's just not really, I'm not getting the angles I really want with it, with just my shoulders, with the way they move right now in terms of my joint and structure. I'm not saying I won't work it back in next week. I just felt like this week I wanted to focus more on the side delts anyways. So I'm like, well, let's go ahead and do all of our side delt work, and then I'll do some seated dumbbells if I want to get an overhead press. So again, less overall load on all of that, but then we're putting the focus where it needs to be, because my front delts are by no means a weak link. Plus I do incline bench every single week, right? Chest day we do flat and we're doing incline. Even doing incline dumbbells. So this week was flat bench, incline, barbell, incline, dumbbell. My front delts are getting a lot of work. Not excessively worried about them. I feel like the side delts, rear delts, again, we need to prioritize those. So I don't want to put massive amounts of efforts into overhead pressing. So in that case, even though it's a great basic exercise, I feel like in my situation right now, it doesn't make sense to put it first. I feel like the side delts really do need to be prioritized. And by me having that in there, it's prioritizing them, right? Because whatever we do first kind of gets the most priority. People forget that with our training, that as you get through a workout, total fatigue will dictate how you recruit muscle fibers later in a workout. Meaning, this is one of the problems with full body workouts for more advanced lifters. If you're squatting first, your arms will get shortchanged, straight up. Right? So that's why in the really old days, guys like Steve Reeves and some of them would do curls before squats, but they trained full body all the time, just because of that. So it's just something to think about. It's a minor nuance. I want to be clear. It's not a massive deal here, but simply in the case of me, my front delts are obviously bigger than the other heads of my delts, and we still want to continue to develop front delts, right? But side and rear are a priority for me. They need to be prioritized a little bit. So we did our 3 sets of 10-ish. I'm hitting failure around rep 10. I might have got an 11 somewhere in there with the upright rows. Then we go to laterals. So I like plates for the laterals. They're more comfortable. I feel like I have more control, because when I'm trying to squeeze a dumbbell, sometimes that power lifter background in me makes me want to just squeeze the crap out of the dumbbell, and it's kind of harder to really get that loose flow that I want. And with the plates, I simply don't do that the same, because I only have fingers in. I can't really get my thumb over it, right? Because I'm through that hole in the middle. I feel like I am able to really kind of get that the pinky up a little bit more, just to make sure we're putting that focus on the side head. Because again, the thing to keep in mind, the more your thumb is up, the more front delt gets worked on these. The more the pinky goes up, the more the posterior and side delt. Same thing with the leaning forward versus leaning back. You'll get people who are like, why don't you stand perfectly upright on these? I lean forward because, again, priorities are the delts. And I want to be clear on a movement like this, whether it's an upright row or whether it's a lateral, all 3 heads of the delts are absolutely going to get worked. So we do need to be clear. This is simply a matter of nuance. So simply a matter of nuance. All right, decided to do the seated dumbbells. I used to do these standing a lot. I haven't done many seated, but I'm like, let's just keep with the theme. I've been doing a lot of seated pressing anyways, with all the incline work. Let me just do them seated. Get on my bench, drop down, clean them up. And these 28s were actually pretty challenging for 12s. First set wasn't quite failure. The second, third set, definitely failure. Third set absolutely was failure. 12 just kind of stuck at the bottom. So again, nice little variation to throw something different in while keeping my basic movements in. And I do like to do that from time to time. And it's just to work different angles. It's just to alleviate boredom. All of those things. And because I do want to get a general upward trend on my training volume as I continue to cut. I do feel like it will be better overall. And again, that's a position I've changed over recently. Just looking more and more at studies, I've come to accept that, look, yes, lifting weights is useful. or losing fat. We're getting studies showing that. And we've had that argument for years on the other end, and maybe I should make some videos talking about that some more of, we don't exercise through that many calories. And that seems to be true, but then there's the EPOC and everything else. But then when you look at studies, yeah, absolutely. People who do more cardio do lose weight faster. People who lift weights lose weight just as fast as cardio. That was something that was compared, overall, is that lifting weights does seem to be just as good for fat loss as cardio. Now, obviously, your diet's the most important thing. But, so again, if we can handle higher volumes of training and still recover from it, right, it makes sense. It makes sense to do more when we're cutting, if for no other reason, just burning through some additional calories. I'm not saying it's going to help you always build more muscle, but it may be helpful in the cut. Kind of the thing to where we look at what a lot of bros and bodybuilders have done over the decades. They're like, I do lots of volumes when I cut, and we're always pointing out, but you're not gaining more muscle from it. What's the point? Well, I guess they are burning through calories. They really are. And they're making sure that every single muscle does get worked. I mean, if you're working a lot of angles doing all that, you do know that you at least got to all your muscle fibers, right? You know that every muscle fiber probably in your body got worked. If you're doing a variety of angles, a little more volume, hitting everything that way. So again, if we're going to get any chance of recomposition while fat loss, it kind of makes sense. And I mean, I know it's deviation from things I said a decade ago, but you know what? We have to accept at a certain point, a lot of these things work. They're time proven. Can't get so caught up in the scientific evidence all the time, because that's the funny thing. Some of these things I am saying now, we're having evidence come out from the lab kind of confirming them. Some stuff is not matching what the evidence-based circles used to say. Okay. So for rear delts, I focused more on rear delts today. I did 5 total sets for the rear. All right, so we did 3 sets of the bent over raises. Right, what do we want to call these? Rear delt raises, right? With the plates, took them to failure, which is around something in the 17 or 18 rep range for me. You'd kind of lose count at that point, not a big deal. And then I finished up with a couple sets of band pull-aparts, because I really, really feel those a lot in my rear delts. But notice on these, I tried to be as strict as possible today. I'm like, let me make these really strict and try to be as strict as I possibly can. But I finished up with 2 sets of band pull-aparts, which again, great for shoulder health, great for the rear delts, just a good all-around exercise. But use them to finish off the rear delts, make sure they got lots of work. Because again, I feel like my rear delts could really stand to come up along with things like my triceps and everything. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.